Well, here is the new 2014 Acura MDX, the best-selling Acura in their lineup, and for good reason. When the MDX was first introduced, it was the very first midsize SUV to come standard with 3 rows of seats. But they've been able to achieve that by keeping the vehicle roughly in the same size as most other midsize SUVs and delivering this vehicle at a price that beats all of the competition when you factor in the availability of third row. If you look at BMW with an X5 in third row, much more expensive than this. Mercedes, you've got to go to a GL to get 3 rows of seats. The only other vehicle that really competes with this, actually there's 2 of them. There's the Audi Q7 and the Infiniti JX. Audi's Q7 is really getting long in the tooth now, and the JX would be a strong competitor for this vehicle. First and foremost, it looks like an MDX. That's a good thing. The front shield, Acura has decided we are not getting rid of that. Now, it has been polarizing in the past. They've toned it down, but they've decided it's our look. We're going to stick with it. What they have done to really refreshen this vehicle on the outside is introduce the dual line of LED lights, both high and low beam, which really are quite striking. Instead of having just those sort of Christmas lights around the outside that most manufacturers are doing, these are really purposeful. Now, when you look at the MDX, it looks very similar to the older model, but in closer inspection, quite a few changes have gone on here. It's on an all-new platform. The vehicle is 5 centimeters longer than the old MDX. The wheelbase is 7 centimeters longer. The roof line has been dropped by 3.8 centimeters, and the step-in height to get into the vehicle has been dropped by 4.6 centimeters. One of the biggest changes is the size of the back door. The space to actually get in the vehicle is now over 11 centimeters wider than the previous model. That's a marked increase in space. When you look around the back, tidy-looking packaging, and all vehicles come standard with a power liftgate. I should mention 18-inch wheels come standard. If you want to get the 19-inch wheels, you have to move up in terms of trim levels. So let's have a look around and see if the packaging of this MDX is as good as the previous models and if it still should be right near the very top of families looking for a 3-row SUV at a price that they can afford. The MDX starts at roughly $50,000 and goes all the way up to $65,000 for the top Elite that we're sitting in here. But all MDX comes standard with the 3rd row of seats, which was the major selling feature of this vehicle when it was first introduced. Also, because of the longer wheelbase and bigger dimensions overall, the back seat is huge. It slides fore and aft to provide extra access to the 3rd row. Plus, when you have that 3rd row of seats implemented, it provides more leg room for the 3rd row passengers. It's very comfortable. Plus, it has a flat floor, which is easy to load kids in and out of. The doors are huge as well. Now, what about the materials, the fit and finish in the front? Covered with soft touch panels on the dash, on the armrests, a huge center console in between the front seats, great big cup holders, very easily accessible. Now, I haven't had this vehicle for a long period of time, and I have to tell you that the integration between the human and the car is taking a little bit of an adjustment. They've switched things around on this. I do, however, like the new buttons on the steering wheel. The rotary dials especially are nice for changing the volume and what have you. Overall, it's big. It has a lot of room for a family. It's comfortable, and it's at a starting price that a lot of people can get excited about. This MDX is Acura's very first attempt at direct injection technology. Believe it or not, it's the first time they've done it with a 3.5-liter V6. And what it's done is improved low-level torque. Below 2,700 RPM, Acura claims an 8% bump in torque, which is usable low-end and also mid-range torque that you're going to use in the city. In addition to that, they claim a 21% improvement in fuel economy. That really is quite good. Rated at 290 horsepower, this engine definitely is up to the task. It has lots of power, and when you add in the 6-speed automatic transmission that has a sport setting, just drop it into sport there, this engine can be really quite lively. Also paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. So no complaints at all with the engine. It's the suspension and the way this vehicle is tuned. They've definitely gone now, because the vehicle is longer and it's lower, it feels more like a luxury sedan. It doesn't feel like a rugged SUV. Yes, super handling all-wheel drive is standard in Canada, and that does a good job of helping you get around corners, but when you throw this vehicle into a corner, it feels kind of soft and mushy. The old MDX had a bit of ruggedness to it, a bit of attitude, and they've kind of lost that with this new one. So if you're looking for a luxurious three-row SUV with good power, nice fit and finish, this will do the job. If you're still looking for a bit of rugged SUV feel, you might be disappointed with the MDX. Acura is going to have another runaway hit with this MDX because they've taken what people already liked about the brand and made it better. New and improved engine, more power, greater efficiency. Much greater space on the inside for families to use every day. It has a refined and luxurious and quiet ride. I wish it had more of a dynamic feel in the corners, but when you push these vehicles very hard with the super handling all-wheel drive, the system really does work well. Not a huge fan of the computer interface system, but that's probably because I haven't spent a ton of time with it. One vehicle that I definitely want you to try out if you're interested in an MDX is the new RDX. They've gone to a V6 engine, they've made it bigger, it's very smooth and quiet just like its bigger brother, but it's much cheaper in the Canadian marketplace. If you don't need the third row of seats, the RDX now will probably be the vehicle that you should look at. If you do need that third row of seats in a pinch, the MDX is definitely still right near the top of its class.